WDAM, Laurel, Hattiesburg. You're watching News 7 Weekend Night Beat. You've got 7 on your side.
One man is in critical condition after a two-vehicle accident on Interstate 59. And the new open carry law has been temporarily blocked from taking effect on Monday. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Vanessa Pacheco. Those stories soon up first, but first, emergency management officials are currently searching for one missing child. That story tops our newscast tonight. According to Greene County Emergency Manager Trent Robertson, at approximately 5:30 Saturday afternoon, two 6-year-old twin brothers disappeared in the Chickasawhay River on the southern part of Greene County. He says a friend of the family witnessed the two boys stepping into a deep part of the river and being swept away by the current. At approximately 6 p.m. today, one of the twin bodies was found in the river, but the search continues for the second child. Greene County EMA have been up for a long time searching for the boys and continue to get assistance by Lamar County EMA, Greene County Sheriff's Department, the Department of Wildlife, George County Search and Rescue, the American Red Cross South Mississippi chapter, and numerous others. A two-vehicle accident on Interstate 59 has 4 men injured and another in critical condition. The accident happened Saturday night when two trucks left the northbound section of the highway north of the Hattiesburg-Laurel Regional Airport exit. According to Mississippi Highway Patrol Affairs Officer Brent Barfield, one of the vehicles was hit from the rear and flipped over. 4 of the passengers in the vehicle were injured and another was trapped for nearly 30 minutes before being extricated. The victims have been identified as 29-year-old Juan Landejas, 25-year-old Antonio Morales, 55-year-old Juan Garcia, and 20-year-old Salvador Garcia. The fifth passenger, 49-year-old Jaime Mendez, is said to be in critical condition at Forest General. Driver in the second vehicle has been identified as 43-year-old James Pryor. According to MHP, Pryor was not injured, though they are awaiting lab results on him to determine if alcohol was a factor. A state judge has temporarily blocked Mississippi's open carry law from taking effect Monday. Circuit Judge Winston Kidd, at the request of the Hinds County DA, ruled the law is vague and that an injunction is needed to stop irreparable harm. Judge Kidd will hear arguments on July 8th. The cleanup of an oil spill on the Chickasawhay River in Wayne County continues. The public is being asked to stay clear of the affected area of the river while the response personnel are in the vicinity. At this time, flotation booms remain in the water as a means to containing oil and sheen to limit its spread. Residents are advised not to boat in the area of the spill until all clear has been given. An exact amount of hydrocarbons spilled in the river remains unknown at this time, and no injuries have been reported. In other Mississippi news, a child fell into a sinkhole in North Jackson last night. Around 7:30 Saturday evening, 6-year-old Landon Reese was riding his bicycle on Northtown Road when he fell into the hole. Barricades surround the damaged roadway, but they did not prevent the accident. Residents say the hole has gotten bigger in the past 2 weeks. They say it was reported to Public Works, but nothing has been done. After falling inside, Landon was spotted by a neighbor who saw his arm waving and pulled him from the hole.
Child probably thought it was a water puddle or something just on the bike, just gonna splash through it, but it was a gaping hole. The bike has fell down and the bike is gone. Luckily, it was the bike and not the child.
The child suffered scrapes and bruises. Residents say they feel their Northtown neighborhood is being ignored while the hole remains a danger to children in the area. Emotions ran high today for the first family. President Barack Obama and his family visited the South African prison cell of Nelson Mandela. The ailing 94-year-old icon who became the country's first post-apartheid leader, Mary Bruce, is traveling with the president in Cape Town, South Africa.
With the world's eyes on the ailing Nelson Mandela, President Obama today walked in the footsteps of the man he's called his personal hero. Shortly after landing in Cape Town, President Obama and his family toured the former prison at Robben Island. Mandela spent 18 of his 27 years in captivity behind these bars, imprisoned for his fight against apartheid, shackled but unyielding in his pursuit of equality.
Mandela's spirit could never be imprisoned because his legacy is here for all to see.
The Obama's 83-year-old tour guide was himself a former prisoner. Like Mandela, Ahmed Kathrada was imprisoned for 18 years for his anti-apartheid activities. The visit comes one day after the president met privately with Mandela's family, offering his prayers and heartfelt support. He was unable to visit the 94-year-old former president who remains in critical condition.
I'm doing very well.
Throughout his African tour, the president has paid tribute to the man who inspired him to step into political activism as a teenager.
He's a hero for the world. There were dark moments that tested his faith in humanity, but he refused to give up.
The president's trip to South Africa, while symbolic, will be brief. Tomorrow he travels to Tanzania.
On Monday, many all over Mississippi will take their oath of office as mayors. Here in the Pine Belt, Laurel's newly elected Johnny McGee will have his inauguration at the Laurel Little Theater at 10 a.m. Columbia will have their inauguration for Robert Bourne at 3 p.m. at their City Hall, and City of Hattiesburg Mayor Johnny Dupree will have his swearing-in ceremony at the Sanger Theater at 10 a.m. Well, nothing says 4th of July quite like fireworks, but even with a little fun, there are some safety measures to keep in mind. Employees at Loco Joe's on Highway 98 say most of what you need to know about your fireworks is written on the box. The two most important rules: never hold an active firework in your hand and make sure you're aware of the weather. Windy or dry conditions could be dangerous when shooting fireworks.
We try and make sure that everybody who comes in here knows that these are explosives that they're buying, and they need to be as careful with them as possible, and they can still have a good time while doing it. People just have to be cautious, read what it says on the packaging. Almost every item in here will tell you how to properly use it. And if you just take a few seconds to do that, it makes it a lot easier on us and a lot safer for the people using it.
And remember, when making your 4th of July plans this year, make sure you are aware of the law surrounding fireworks in the county where you are celebrating. Still to come, the fight over same-sex marriage is far from over. We'll have more details after the break. In several cities across the country today, celebrations of gay pride and same-sex marriage. Parades from coast to coast have taken on different casts today, days after the Supreme Court upheld rights for same-sex couples in states where those unions are recognized. Today, both sides in this debate are turning to the 37 states where same-sex marriage is not legal. Brian Moore has a story from Washington.
From the streets of San Francisco to Midtown Manhattan, gay pride parades turned into celebrations of two Supreme Court victories and the future of same-sex marriage.
Step back, please.
Edie Windsor, whose case overturned the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, was welcomed as a conquering hero in New York. And these marchers had more reason to celebrate on Sunday. The Supreme Court refused to halt the resumption of same-sex marriages in California.
Essentially what the court has done is that they've dragged we the people from behind the wheel of this republic, and they've carjacked the nation.
But opponents of same-sex marriage say it was not a total defeat.
This court specifically and explicitly rejected what the plaintiffs argued in this case, which was there is a 14th Amendment equal protection right to be married as gays and lesbians.
The debate is now shifting from courtrooms to legislatures in 37 states where same-sex marriage is not legal.
Our goal is to have marriage equality as guaranteed by the United States Constitution, enforced in every single state in the Union.
And on this issue, both sides do agree on at least one thing: the fight over same-sex marriage is far from over.
All right, coming up in weather, we'll tell you your 4th of July forecast. Those details right after this break. Welcome back and happy Sunday to you. Nick Ortego here. Here are the current conditions over at the Hattiesburg Airport right now. Reading 77 degrees. Humidity is somewhat a factor even in this 10 o'clock hour. It feels like 79 right now. A little bit of a breeze of about 7 miles per hour. More temps for you around the Pine Belt, maybe one closer to your home. Poplarville reporting 77, 80 in Wiggins, 75 in Waynesboro and 73 over in Bay Springs. You're going to hear a lot of talk this week, or you probably already have, about the very warm temperatures over much of the country. Look out west. It's not that they're not talking about us, but it's much hotter in some other locations. Phoenix right now in this 10 o'clock hour is reading triple digits. In fact, 109 degrees. You go all the way up to Seattle here in this 10 o'clock hour, and you're at 90 degrees. Now, we know the time zone change. They still are at nighttime there, though, over towards the west coast. Meanwhile, lots of 60s and 70s more our direction. The almanac today getting up to 91. On the low side, 67. Nice to have a little bit of relief overnight. That low temperature is below average, but the high's in line with where we should be. The rain gauge empty at the airport, but we did see a little bit of rain over parts of the Pine Belt today. Alpha Insurance Sky Camera this evening's over at Forest General Hospital in Hattiesburg, where they're reading 77 and had a high of 90 degrees this afternoon. Satellite radar loop shows you the rain I was just referring to. We put it in motion, and you had a good little storm develop basically around Simpson, Smith County, diving towards the south, and then it started to weaken. It actually did go all the way up to severe thunderstorm status. Another little storm over in parts of Jones County, and those clustered all the way down a little further south over almost all the way into the west side of Lamar County, and that fell apart as well. It was lighter rain off towards the east in the later evening hours, and even with the Southern Pine Electric Power radar, you kind of see the very beginning of some light sprinkles over in Greene County, and then that energy headed on over into Alabama. Futurecast for precipitation will pretty much predict us to be dry tomorrow. It'll pick up on some scattered showers up around the I-20 corridor and north, but I think the Pine Belt will be dry. I'm going to keep the rain percentage out of the forecast for your Monday, but that's going to be about it. Futurecast for temps show the temperature getting into the 80s, but notice how I'm not saying 90s tomorrow. It'll actually max out at 85 degrees. I think 88's a more likely high for the Pine Belt tomorrow. Tonight, 66 degrees for the overnight low. As we break down your day tomorrow, we'll say in those morning hours around 8 a.m., we're already up to 72. By 1 o'clock, we're around the mid-80s. 4 o'clock, about 87 degrees with a good amount of sun. No rain chance for your Monday, 20% chance of rain on your Tuesday. Wednesday, a 40% chance of showers, if not storms, around the Pine Belt with a high of 90 degrees. So the temperatures do come up as we go throughout this forecast, possibly getting very warm by Friday. And let's focus a little bit on your July 4th forecast, because there is a decent chance of rain. I know a lot of folks are going to be off of work. Around noon, we're looking at about a 30% chance of rain. 5 o'clock in the evening, about a 50% chance, and then 9 o'clock, 40% chance. So maybe not the best night for fireworks. If you've got them, you may want to shoot them a little earlier this week if possible. Otherwise, you might be trying to dance in between some showers and storms in the region. Otherwise, the temperature will be pretty hot in the Pine Belt for your 4th of July, as expected for that time of year. Vanessa, back to you.
Thank you, Nick. Coming up, another TV celebrity is making headlines for his so-called homophobic slur on Twitter. More details up next. We're used to hearing about those Baldwin temper tantrums, but perhaps never in the same week that another celebrity begins losing her empire for something she said. Gio Benitez has more.
I want to apologize to everybody.
It's the nationwide debate pitting Dean against Baldwin. Paula Deen still reeling after losing nearly a dozen major endorsements, partnerships, and counting after admitting the use of the N-word in a recent deposition. The latest, Random House canceling a 5-book deal with Dean as fans rallied to make one of them a bestseller months before its release.
This is so good.
The former Food Network star has apologized, but as her estimated $17 million fortune continues its landslide, another star, Alec Baldwin, seems Teflon strong.
Even those who hate me, the unwashed socialist horde.
The star of 30 Rock fired off what's being called a homophobic slur on Twitter after a newspaper reporter accused his wife of tweeting during James Gandolfini's funeral. Among the explosive tweets, "I'm gonna find you, you toxic little queen," and "I'm gonna expletive you up." Baldwin later quit Twitter and apologized in a letter to GLAAD, saying his tweets were not implying any issues of anyone's sexual orientation. But some vehemently disagree. Anderson Cooper tweeting Friday, "Why does Alec Baldwin get a pass when he uses gay slurs? If a conservative talked of beating up a queen, they would be vilified." Like Dean, Baldwin is no stranger to endorsements.
What's in your wallet?
Yet the face of Capital One credit cards hasn't suffered nearly the same backlash as Dean. Some argue Dean is the victim of a double standard, while others say not so fast.
If Alec Baldwin had dropped the N-bomb the way Paula Deen had, you can bet he would lose his Capital One endorsements.
But stars like Kevin Hart on OMG Insider say the pounding against Paula may be too extreme.
I'm a black man. I was one of the people that was offended when I heard it. is too much.
Baldwin may survive his latest debacle, but it remains to be seen if Dean can survive hers.
The Sim Cooley Memorial Tournament and find out the winner of the Quaker State 400. "29 teams graced the fairways of the Bear Creek Golf Club yesterday to honor the man that coached the JCJC Bobcats football team for more than 2 decades. I'm talking about Sim Cooley and the 6th annual Memorial Tournament that concluded yesterday with the team of Ken Blackwell, Ryan Blackwell, and Andy Johnson winning the event with a 17 under par 55, besting the West Jones coaching trio of Scott Pearson, Joe Ward, and Chuck Robertson. The first flight winners were the grandson of Sim Cooley, Austin Cooley, and his 2 playing partners, Justin Woodyear and Joe Ayup. Money raised from the event goes towards 3 $500 scholarships awarded to teams that attended JCJC. Here's tournament director Brian Dennis on the impressive turnout.
We've had it for a number of years now. We had a really good turnout this year, and we hope to continue this for years to come.
It's safe to say it's been a rough week for the NFL. Saturday, Indianapolis Colts safety Joe LaFedge was arrested on gun charges just days after Aaron Hernandez was charged with first-degree murder in a separate case. These latest run-ins with the law have some asking, does America's favorite sport have a problem? Michelle Franzen reports.
In the high-stakes world of the NFL, high-profile arrests of stars like Aaron Hernandez cast a negative spotlight on the sport. Hernandez is charged with first-degree murder in the execution-style killing of semi-pro football player Odin Lloyd. The former Patriots star is one of more than 24 players from 18 NFL teams arrested on various charges just since February's Super Bowl. UT San Diego created a database of the arrests with charges ranging from murder and assault to drug and alcohol and weapons violations. Saturday, the latest arrest. Indianapolis Colts safety Joe LaFedge was taken into custody on gun-related charges in the nation's capital. The team says it's aware of the news, but for now isn't issuing any further comment. It has some asking if the league is doing enough to tackle some players' bad behavior off the field.
The problem is the NFL cannot change society. It cannot go into the neighborhoods and the families where these kids are being selected and fix the problems that exist that lead to some of these individuals getting into trouble later in life.
High-profile cases include O.J. Simpson, Michael Vick, and Ryan Leaf, incidents that dominate the headlines and have led the NFL to impose penalties in the past decade.
Commissioner Roger Goodell has had a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to NFL players getting in trouble with the law.
But brand experts say the string of arrests just this year alone sends a red flag that pro football could be sacked with an image problem.
If I were the NFL, I certainly would take this as a wake-up call. I would never want my brand to be tarnished and dragged into the mud by murderers, rogues, and thieves.
Now moving over to NASCAR, the Quaker State 400 running today at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. And on lap 48, Kurt Busch not making any friends. Runs on the apron and hits Brad Keselowski on his way back up. Keselowski trying to remain control of his car, but comes back across and collects a bunch of drivers in this one. As we take another look, Busch goes to the apron, comes right back up into Keselowski, causing the big accident. He would finish 33rd. Now on lap 148, Denny Hamlin's car heads to the right, and he makes hard contact with the outside wall. Hamlin would finish 35th on the day. 22 to go now on the restart. Jimmy Johnson running second on the inside. He gets a bad jump while trying to hold his position. Johnson winds up spinning out himself. He would finish 9th on the day, led 182 of 267 laps, but it only matters if you lead that final lap. That's exactly what Matt Kenseth did, taking the win, his 4th of the season, which puts him in 5th for the Sprint Cup standings. Now over to the MLB, bottom of the second. D-backs up 1. Brian McCann at the plate, going opposite yard. This one eventually would bounce off the top of the wall, ties things up at 1. Braves looking good on today. Bottom of the third now, tied at 1. 2 men on for Freddie Freeman. He goes opposite field as well. This one to deep left center for the 3-run bomb off Cahill. 4-1 now for the Braves. Bottom of the 5th, same score. Dan Ugla, he jumps on the Cahill offering with the 2-run homer. Braves win this one 6-2. That's all for sports. Vanessa, back to you.
Thank you, Daniel. The newest addition to the San Antonio, Texas Zoo is a two-headed turtle named Thelma and Louise. Two heads must be better than one for the tiny turtle. A Texas cooter, she is already drawing a crowd and she is less than 2 weeks old. A zoo spokeswoman said Wednesday that the two-headed turtle appears healthy and is able to swim and walk. She says experts at the zoo don't foresee any health issues for Thelma and Louise. Named for the duo in the 1991 Oscar-winning Road movie, the San Antonio Zoo previously had a two-headed reptile, a Texas rat snake named Janus, from 1978 until the creature's death in 1995.
It's a cool looking turtle. I'd have probably gone with Donatello and Michael just from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that was a good idea. Well,
you should have been there.
From everyone here in the Night Beat, thank you for joining us and have a good day.